In this video, I'm going to show you how I painted this minimalistic seascape from start to finish using oil paints and a palette knife. Okay, so the colours I'll be using today are titanium white, cadmium yellow, cadmium red, burnt sienna, cerulean blue, and ultramarine blue. And I just start by mixing up some basic colours using a palette knife, and I usually start from the top part of the picture or the painting. So some darker blue to indicate where the upper part of the sky will be. And yeah, I'm just playing with some mixes really of cerulean blue and ultramarine blue and some whites. And I'll put some cadmium yellow in shortly. And I'm working on, I think it's a 6-inch piece of Canson oil painting paper. And yeah, I'll be using paintbrushes, but mostly a palette knife for this painting. And I'm going to create it in one sitting. I'm going to finish it in one sitting, known as the alla prima technique. And yeah, so can be helpful to mix up your colours or mix up a few colours to sort of begin with. They will get sort of modified and changed throughout the painting, but it's nice to have something to start you off with. Oh, and I'm also using water mixable oil paints. And yeah, I just thought I'd give them a go. And well, I'll let you know my thoughts shortly about those. So here I'm mixing the shoreline. Oh, by the way, it's a seascape, if I didn't mention that earlier. From a picture that I took in Evia last week, Greek islands, when I was on holiday. And I drew this out very quickly with using a colour pencil, and it's a basic seascape, minimal, very calm, not much going on, just relaxing to look at. And there's also a sailboat in the distance, and here I'm mixing up the shoreline that'll be in the distance towards the mountains, and yeah, I wanted it to be a bit sort of darker, and just so the sailboat will sort of stand out as well, because the sailboat is white, and this is a very dark blue that I'm mixing with ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, and a touch of burnt sienna, because it's always nice to have, when you've got the sea in the distance, it's very nice to have the darkest part, and then it comes lighter as we come towards the foreground of the actual painting itself. Okay, here I'm going to mix up some mountain colours, like a purpley browny mix to begin with. Then I should be adding some white shortly, just to push it back. Obviously the mountains in the background, so we want those to be slightly cooler. I'm mixing up the opposite colour of purple, which is yellow, just to sort of dull it down slightly before I add the white. So yeah, this is another oil painting sketch. I absolutely love working these quick sketches in alla prima using paintbrushes and palette knives. Reason being is it sort of sets you up for larger paintings, or paintings that take a little bit longer, and they're just a lot of fun to play with, really. And yeah, I'm going to use quite a lot of paint as well, even though the pictures or the surface is very small. A lot of paint is going to be used. So here I'm mixing up, as you can see, the composition of the paint mixes. It's sort of almost the same as the composition of what the picture will be. So here I'm mixing sand colours, and yeah, I'm mixing sand colours, a lighter variation first, and then I'm going to add a darker variation a bit later on that. So I'm using a I think it was an old flat brush which has turned into a filbert. It's about 5 years old, and I've put a little bit of water, not too much, just a little bit. So I've just put the brush in the jar of water first, and I've really sort of dried it out on kitchen roll, and then I'm just sort of scrubbing into the surface here because I want this paint to be thin. Now I've spoken recently about thin paint. You don't need so much water in this case, or thinner or medium to sort of dilute the paint. I just used a little bit, and I'm literally scrubbing it in to the surface because I want to add some thicker paint on top of that shortly. And I just had some whiter and a bit more punch into the mix, a bit more blue, just to create a bit of a gradient really. Then I add in a bit more white and some punchier blue color because it gets a bit lighter as you come down towards the mountain. The sky does anyway. That's the aim of it. But yeah, I'll be adding a bit of paint on top of this as well as we get on with the painting. So it's nothing too complicated at the moment, just to get that thin paint on. And yeah, I mean this photo, I have the photo reference which is available on my Patreon page. I've recently joined Patreon, and I'm tweaking the tiers and what I want to offer on Patreon. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's a membership site where you can pay a small amount to support your favorite creators, yay, and favorite artists. And yeah, go and check that out. I'll leave the link in the description below, or you can sit here with me and watch the free version, which is a full tutorial from start to finish. It's a bit long, this video. I think it's about 35 minutes long. I'll try and keep them shorter next time. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I was playing around quite a lot with this. But I mean, yeah, this is from start to finish. I haven't cut anything out of this video. I have nothing sped up. It's from start to finish. Every brush stroke, color mixing on a 6x6-inch piece of Canson oil painting paper, and yeah, hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I'm gonna start putting in some mountain. So yeah, for those of you that know me, this is going to be like I guess an impressionistic seascape. That's quite abstracty. I'm not going for much detail. Yeah, I want to try and say as much as I can in a really loose way. And yeah, and I'm going to talk about the water mixable oil paints now. Actually, I had a blast with them. I don't use any mineral spirits or any terps. I'm trying to keep a toxic free environment because I work from home. And yeah, I mean, for these demonstrations, well, you can see my yellows coming down into the blue. Thanks a lot, yellow. So I've got a bit of green there. Oops. Yeah, so I'm using just a little bit of water, hardly any actually, just to spread the paint slightly, and then I'm gonna, as I said, I'm gonna work over the top of that thin layer in this session, and just to build a bit of depth really. But yeah, I really enjoyed these water mixable oil paints. I couldn't really tell the difference between these and regular oil paints, to be honest. But yeah, I'm gonna do a few more of these with the Autumn Explorer paints. I haven't given up totally on regular oil paints. I'm going to continue using regular oil paints, but with for sort of final artworks that I sell on my website. Artworks that will probably take me like a few painting sessions to complete. But yeah, these little studies, I mean, it's fine for these little studies, just a little bit of water, not too much. And yeah, it's fine for these little studies. So regarding this paper, this surface, it's nice. I like it, but if you saw me about a minute ago, I tried to blend something with my finger. It didn't really blend so well. I think it absorbed the paints a little bit more than usual. It's nice to work on, especially for these demos, but I have made my own paper that I use to oil paint on. And it's simple. You can just get a sheet of watercolor paper and you just add gesso over the top of them, over the top of the surface. And it usually takes about 2 or 3 coats of gesso, and that works really well. I found that a little bit better than this, but it's not much of a difference, to be honest. And this is just easier. You just buy it, and it's very cheap to buy this oil painting paper. And yeah, it's just ready to go, really. So okay, so I'm being a bit slow here in the mountain. I mean, it's a very small part here, and it's just me playing with cool and warm colours. I'm trying to push back that mountain. I didn't want to thin down the paint, just to knock back, just to create a background. I think you just use the right colour mix to do that, which is usually cooler in the background, but I want a bit warm here in the middle. So yeah, I'm going to move on now and try and fix that. Or maybe I'll come back to that part shortly. Okay, so another brush here. I think that's a flat brush. Try to indicate the distant deep blue. So again, I'm just going to graze that all the way along just to try and create a horizon line that's kind of straight. And yeah, again, the paint is slightly thinned out. Not too much water, just slightly thinned out. And I can play with thicker paint on top of that shortly. I didn't want to hide my sailboat there, so he's still there in the background somewhere. Okay, same mix, just adding a bit of white to that. Yeah, so it's supposed to be sort of lighter as we come down the mix slightly. It's the first time using this cerulean blue for me. I usually like cobalt turquoise, but I'm not sure they have it in the water mixable oil paints. I'll have to investigate a little bit more. Try and find my cobalt turquoise because I love that colour. This colour looks okay, I guess. I mean, it's only a study. It's only a bit of practice. Yeah, I don't really... I mean, when it comes to colours... Yeah, I mean, I think values are more important, to be honest, than colours. If you do see the reference picture on my Patreon page, it's very minimal. It's not much going on. It's just there. I mean, again, I don't really rely on reference photos that much. Reference photos are there just to help me and see what's going on with values, a bit of colour and composition especially. But yeah, I don't like to copy a photograph, to be exact, as you probably know by now. I like that abstract, impressionistic, quality. Yeah. Okay, so just laying in some sand colour now. And again, trying to keep the paint pretty thin because I'm going to go all over this shortly with some areas. Just playing around with some sort of tan colour now, some red, burnt sienna, yellow, cadmium yellow's gone into my blue mix again. Oops. And also trying to keep brush strokes. I do blend quite a bit on this first pass because I want to lay on top of that and I want to create some depth, because when I lay on top I won't be blending so much. The paint will be thicker. But yeah, it's nice to play around blending in certain areas and keeping those brush strokes visible in other areas. So I'll be using my palette knife shortly for the, I think, the most part of the next of this final half of the painting. Yeah, I love my palette knife. I used, I think, 2 in this painting, but the majority of this piece was created with this palette knife. So it's just, again, pushing down a little bit further, a bit harder to blend, and then not pushing down so much to get those highlights that are showing on top of that wet paint that I've just put down. Okay, and again, playing with edges. I mean, it's nice if you can get away, if you can treat edges with importance. I mean, for example, the mountains in the background, they were quite sharp, the edges, and some were quite blurred out. So yeah, I'm trying to use that palette knife to make sharper edges, I guess, and blend into the thick paint, because I want this to be a bit bluer, a bit more blue in the backgrounds and the bottom part of the sky, and a bit whiter as well. And again, here's me trying to fix the warm part of the mountain, which is supposed to be cool. There's not much grass on these mountains because we're in Greece, and well, I think the sun has burnt all the grass away. This is an impressionistic piece, and oil painting is very forgiving, and yeah, I'm just having fun, really. So yeah. Okay, I just got my blending brush here just to well, I didn't stay for very long, the blending brush. I'll come back to that part in a minute just to identify the sailboat shortly. So again, I'm just playing with edges here on the mountain, sharpening up a few things there. You'll notice that I'll jump around a lot in the painting. I mean, I never just stick to the same area or start from. I mean, I have a method of working, from top to bottom of the painting, if that makes sense. But I don't just go back to the top then and continue working again from top to bottom. I just sort of dance around the place, really, and I like that. It sort of for me. It unifies the painting more, and I guess I'm quite impulsive as well. Here I wanted a cooler shoreline, so it's just cerulean blue and titanium white. But I'll also come back to that later to add some thicker paint. So, and I think I'm pushing down a little bit more to blend slightly. But that paint underneath is very thin, so that thick paint lays really nicely on top. Okay, so here it's just again the same mix, and I'm using my finger here to blend that out, just because it is brighter at the bottom of the sky above the mountain. So Okay, again for some more punchy blue colour, because we are in Greece and the sea is beautiful. Very light blue, green colour. I didn't make a green in this colour because the picture shows a blue sea, so I kept it to blue. I can change it if I wanted to, but I didn't want to. The blue was fine. Yes, I'm just cutting through. I'm also wiping the palette knife in between applications as well. Look at my yellows jump back into my blue mix again. Oh my goodness! And I didn't see it. I didn't notice it, so I had to fix that. Fix it later. But yeah, palette knife is a lot of fun, and you will use a lot of paint, but that's fine. It's totally worth it. And yeah, I mean, you can take these sort of paintings as far as you want. For me, it's better not to overwork it. I think I could have stopped about 6 minutes earlier than what I took to paint this. Okay, here I am just trying to find my sailboat with a flat brush. But yeah, it totally depends on what you want in a painting. You know, if you were to ask me what I want in a painting, it's really complicated. It's like having a mix of realism, abstraction, minimalism, impressionism, color harmony, and something that's fresh and modern. It's so many things that I want in a painting, but not all of that. I mean, I want parts of this, parts of that. Yeah, that's why I think these small studies come in really handy, because it really does set you up gives you an idea of what you can do for when you're creating final artworks. Okay, here I'm just sort of creating a mountain with my small flat brush with cooler colours this time. Okay, here I am on the other side of the painting. I'm actually sitting right behind the painting and the camera's in front of me, but I can't get to where I want to get on this sailboat because the camera's in the way. So I'm kind of hunched over on the left part of the canvas and palette, and I got there in the end. So a bit of dark blue just to show off a shadow in the sailboat. Okay, so I'm gonna go for clouds, and if you saw my last video, you'll remember that I had a bit of a problem making the clouds. It was a bit easier this time, so I start with that distant colour I use for the mountain, just lighten it up slightly for the bottom part, and start laying it in really into the paint. That's pretty wet still, not too wet, it's tacky now. I mean, it does dry pretty quickly when you're just using water and thin paint. And then a lighter mix on top with the paint being a bit thicker. And I was thinking now to myself, like, okay, I don't want to make fluffy cotton wool clouds. I want it to be abstract and, you know, different, I guess, the impression. So I'm trying to blend the bottom part now. Just to sort of keep that. Usually with clouds, the bottom part is blended within the sky, or looks like it's blended, and the top part could be quite have sort of sharp edges and lighter on top in general. And clouds can be all different colours as well. They're not just white. I've seen purple, pink clouds, red clouds. Yeah, I kept it very simple here. I'm a bit obsessed with this part over here. I want this to be lighter at the bottom, so I've just pinched some almost white paint, and again just throwing palette knife around a little bit, trying to sharpen some areas, trying to put some white in behind the mountain slightly, so it shows that there's a cloud or two coming from beyond. And there you go. I'd only just noticed that's where my yellow had fallen into the blue and white mix. Well done, Sean. Okay, just a bit of blending here, just to push it back slightly. Okay, just indicating here a few sort of highlights. I didn't want to go too overboard with this. I wanted it to be a sort of calm piece. So it's not, the sea isn't supposed to be very choppy. But I got a bit excited about now and started slinging the paint around. I do that sometimes, so. So if you're enjoying the video, then please do like the video. If you want to leave me a comment, that would be very be amazing. So I really do appreciate that. And if you're not subscribed, then don't forget to subscribe. And I'm looking to create more of these short tutorials for you. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, again, just indicating some harder edges within the mountain in the background here. And just blending slightly that cool colour over the warmer colour with the palette knife. And again, I'm just trying to push that dark a bit further slightly with some thicker paint now, and just tilting the palette knife slightly. Again, angle plays a real important part when it comes to working with the palette knife. The way, not just the pressure, but the way you sort of hold it. So you can hear, for example, is flatter. So I'm just pushing out with a bit more pressure to blend it slightly after I had lightly put on the dark blue. And again here I just wanted a bit more punch, a bit more sort of blue in the sea. That's why I was thinking about my cobalt turquoise. I must try and get some of that in the watercolor, in the water mixable oil form. And again, just a bit more blending in the backgrounds with my blending brush. Okay, I want a bit more variation now in the sands. So I'm just mixing burnt sienna with a bit of burnt umber. Sorry, a bit of ultramarine blue with burnt sienna. And I guess, yeah, without going too overboard in the sands, I just need a bit of depth in there. So I'm just gonna literally throw down some paint here in this sort of weird kind of way. I'm just sort of indicating here what I want to perhaps do and which direction I want to go for now. Yeah, so this is going to be now a lighter mix to go on top of that on the left hand side. That should sort of blend a little bit more into that new mix. Again, I'm going for direction here in the sand, kind of in like a swooping motion. I don't know why, it sort of felt right, you know, direction there to sort of indicate the same direction as a sailboat, I guess. I don't know, I can't really explain it, but yeah, I'm just moving the paint around and playing with pressure again. Okay, here I'm just trying to find a lighter mix for the sky with thicker paint now, really thick paint, just to sort of lay on top, just for some variation, really. So yeah, I mean, I could have used other colours as well for the sky for more variation and things, but I just want to keep this one simple. Try and keep things simple sometimes, most of the time. And yeah, I mean, these are only sketches. I mean, I try and keep them to about half an hour, 25 minutes. Just simple kind of sketches. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to overcomplicate this or overwork it. And just scratching the paint, scratching the palette knife in the wet paint is a lot of fun as well, without going overboard with that. And just indicating some water sort of blending or spilling over into the sand here. And some more cerulean blue because I ran out. Yeah, I think here, just again, trying to make it a bit more, what's the word I use? Punchy. Especially as you get closer to the sand, the sea does tend to get lighter. Okay, so I realised I had a lot of paint left over and something was missing, so I got my bigger palette knife and went for this cool mix. And I guess I want to hint like a shoreline, so plastering that down, and then I can sort of tilt the palette knife and glide it along the shoreline there. And that paint is really thick, like a sculpture, like really sort of impasto style, and I'm just sort of moulding that into the surface there. That's a lot of fun. And then just grabbing that warm mix there and kind of doing the same, just to warm it up a bit slightly next to the shoreline there. And yeah, just a few final highlights here and there. I'm happy with this piece. It was again a lot of fun. About 30 minutes it took me, and yeah, it was great just sitting here today with you, talking. I hope you don't mind me going on for the last half an hour. I hope you learnt something from this piece as well, this kind of technique, and yeah, perhaps you can apply it to your own painting practice. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you've got any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care for now, and happy painting.